Every challenge will always have a different aspect of physical and mental endurance. When you don't know how bad it's going to be, then you don't get overwhelmed by it. This is by far the toughest challenge I've ever done, by a long way. Not only hadn't it been done, no one's even attempted it. When those waves pick up and they can come out of nowhere, you really are at the mercy of the elements. There's a lot of people who were like, this can't be done, you're going to die trying. And I thought, right, I'm going to prove to myself and to everyone else that it is possible. I finished the first ever length of Britain swim via Ireland, Land's End to John O'Groats. Although I thought it was going to take me 2.5 months, 4.5 months later I eventually reached Scotland. When I was sort of working out the logistics and whether it was possible, from the outset, there was a lot of people who were like, this is a joke, it's a PR stunt, XYZ. Deep inside I knew it was possible. It was just quite hard to get advice from people when everyone was kind of saying you're going to die. I definitely didn't do enough training for this. It wasn't necessarily fitness. I knew I'd get fit on the swim, but it was style. It was really important for me to nail my style down, and I didn't really appreciate that at the beginning. I just didn't know what my arms were doing. I was getting really sore shoulders because I wasn't as efficient as I should have been. I learned loads of techniques. It took a while over trial and error. One of them was just to slow my stroke down and extend it, really push forward, and you can almost get half a stroke by just twisting your hip, using your lats to pull down rather than just using your shoulders. Changing your finger position. If you're really tired, open up your fingers a little bit and you get less drag on your shoulders. And just trying to vary your stroke. Sometimes, do a stroke right near you, sometimes just push it out a little bit. Might not be as efficient, but you'll be using a different muscle group. Breathing as well. In all my training, the little training I did, I breathed to both sides, but I soon found out that all the waves were coming in from my left, all the westerly winds pushing them onto me. So when I did breathe to my left, I just drank loads of water. So I had to breathe to my right only, pretty much for the whole trip. There's little things like that that sort of I was learning along the way. Nutrition was really important, and the crew used to call me the child because I had my blended meals in a shaker. I then have my protein shakes at the end of each session because I needed to have about 130 grams of protein a day, roughly, just to help me rebuild my muscles. There was never the same start time because the tides shift by an hour each day. So sometimes I'd be getting up at 10 a.m. for a session, sometimes at 3 in the morning. I usually do an hour and a half, 90 minutes, and then have some food. Probably spend 15 minutes warming up, rehydrating, jumping back in and do another 90-minute session, and then eat again, and then do a third 90-minute session. So I try and do 3 90-minute sessions. It wasn't possible to do the mileage that I needed to do each day without having to swim in the dark. We just had to make the most of the tide, and if the tide's at 3 a.m, we go at 3 a.m. What I didn't want the swim to become was this big monster that just overtook my life. I wanted it to still be fun, and I still wanted to have an adventure, and it was great. We got to see coves and beaches that you can only access from the sea, exploring shipwrecks and things like that. I had no idea there'd be so many jellyfish, and every now and then I'd turn and one would hit me in the face. It would sting for about 6 hours, and it basically just feels like you're getting burnt by a lighter. Trying to sleep on a boat when your face is on fire was quite tough. Putting on a wetsuit was the toughest thing to deal with. I'd be freezing cold before I even jumped in, so I'd put it on and then run on the spot just to try and warm up. But those first few minutes were pretty horrendous. You learn the tips, having a bit of caffeine, and then that kind of gets your metabolism up and it kind of warms you up a little bit. It's kind of an open water swimming rule. Don't mention the C word, which is cold. But there's just so many things to remind you it's cold, In Scotland, I was swimming along and there was snow on the mountains next to me. No matter how strong your mind is, you just couldn't get away from thinking about being cold. There were times when I was really struggling. It was cold, it was wet. We'd look at the weather forecast and it would be a week long of bad weather. We were thinking, are we going to have to come back, and am I going to have to finish this swim next year? The one recurring thought I kept having was, if I didn't finish, getting home and seeing my inbox full of emails from the people who said, I told you so, that kind of made me go, right, I have to finish this. No matter what it takes, I am going to finish. It was literally only when we could see John O'Groats and I was swimming that I was like, we're actually going to do this. I'm actually going to do this. Coming into the end, it was just relief that I'd actually managed to get those last few good days. Relief that I can now be warm and dry, and relief to get to the end, but I don't really remember much of what happened at all. It's not just about breaking records, it's not trying to be the best in the world at anything. For me, it's more personal. It's trying to prove to myself I can do it. We're all a lot more physically and mentally capable than we give ourselves credit for, and we kind of lose that along the way somewhere. I know I did, and having completed the swim has given me confidence in different areas of my life as well. I kind of do feel as I can almost do anything if I put my mind to it now, which is a nice feeling. Big swimming challenge advice. Firstly, buy a bigger boat and get your style down. Being swim fit means you can enjoy the adventure from day one rather than train on the route like I had to. My other piece of advice is don't do it. It's not worth it. No, it is. Go for it. I'll help you do it quicker.